Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Random Rants with Random. I'm out here today in far north Queensland on the Atherton Tablelands. It's a little bit overcast, a little bit sunny, a little bit cool, a little bit wet today. But cool and damp are perfect because you don't get any dust. And we all know what cool air does to engines. So before I set off on my ride, I thought I'd run you over what I've been through with Katie this week to get her ready for today. So first off, we'll start with the boring stuff. Did the air cleaner, very easy to get into with the D'Souza fasteners. So my air cleaner ritual is pull the air cleaner out and put in an air cleaner blocker and fully clean your air box, but also clean the inner boot on the other side of your air filter. I saw this guy on YouTube the other day put a new filter on, and the inside past the air filter was dirtier than the outside of the air filter. So make sure you clean and inspect this side. And if you don't have a hole blocker, you can buy them. I made mine. Get some heavy duty plastic bags and wrap your air cleaner in the bags and put your air cleaner back in, and that will act as a water blocker and you can hose your air box out. So also with my air filter routine, I do a couple of things that I've never seen anyone else do. To start off with, I only keep a little, maybe 3-4 litre bucket. I put like a 25mm spacer of mesh in the bottom of the bucket, and then fill up to just below that mesh with water, and then fill the rest with Kero. You only need a small bucket, otherwise you're spending a lot of money in Kero. And then when you clean and squeeze your filter out, all the rocks and grit go through the mesh into the bottom of the bucket, and you don't risk touching the bottom of the bucket with the filter and picking it all back up again. So that's one thing I've seen that other people do, so I do that. The next thing is I clean it in hot soapy water. I use bike wash, but any hot soapy water is good. And then you sit it out to dry. And when it's fully dry, this is the one thing I do that I've never seen anyone else do. Hold the filter up into the sun. And if there's any big bits of grit stuck in the filter, I'll show you some scenery for a bit while I talk. If there's any big bits of grit stuck in the filter, you can see it when you look through your filter into the sun. And the way you get that grit out is you get the side it's closest to, you squeeze underneath it like a pimple, and then just gently to rigorously flick the foam. Don't pick at it, just flick it with your finger and fingernail, and it will pop out. It will work its way out. So that's one thing I've seen. You go your filter up against the sun, and you'll see bits of grit in there, and you just tease them out. And then the next thing I do that I've never seen anyone else do is when I oil my filters, I put them in a freezer bag, and then you just pour in the oil, and you can squeeze it and thoroughly work the oil right through. And you can see if you need a bit more, you pour a bit more in, and yeah, you work the oil right through. You can squeeze it and you can see the oil squeezing out, and yeah, it gets thoroughly through the whole filter. And the bonus is, if you've got extra filters, you can leave it in the freezer bag and compress it up super tight and put it in your bum bag or in your kit for if you're going for a few day ride. You've got a couple of spare oiled filters ready to go in the freezer bag that you oiled them in. And then you let that dry, and you can also put the filter back on the cage while it's in the bag, and then pull it out of the bag and install the filter once it's dry. So the next thing I did to Katie this week is this bottom fork leg bolt here has been stripped for many years. So I inserted a helicoil in that, so that's all good again. These are the things you got to do if you want to keep your 23-year-old bike going. So the next thing, KTMs have got a bad problem with countershaft oil leaking. Mine was doing it. I was throwing extra O-rings in there, trying to seal it up. I was watching a video the other day. It's all about the spring tension of the washer. And I'd never replaced my washer. I'd probably done about 4 or 5 sprockets. Never replaced my washer, and sure enough, it spun under the bolt. There's no spring tension. So I've discovered it's all about this spring washer keeping tension on an O-ring inside the gearbox, and that stops the leak hopefully. So we'll see today if my leak has stopped. There's an Australian company called Dirt Tricks that sell a hardened steel spring washer that's totally reusable. These ones, I've used it maybe 3-4 times, and that's why it was leaking. So you can buy a brand new bolt and washer kit for, I think it was $13. The seal kit, the oil seal and O-ring was $16. And then I saw online you can get a kit that's got all that in one kit. So that worked out well. So we'll see if it's all about the spring tension on this washer. So you should replace that washer at least every second sprocket change, I reckon. But probably every sprocket change. Or get the Dirt Tricks one, which I will order, because then they're totally reusable. I also gave myself a bit of a rear brake bleed. She was looking a bit sad. And that's about it. But finally we get to the bit of bling. The old gear shifter was looking a bit worn out, and it was bent and was nearly touching my engine case here. So I thought it's time for an upgrade. And then I remembered these hammerhead gear shifters that have got the offset head. So my original shifter come off it there here. So this one's 20 mil longer, and it should suit my yowie sized feet now. I've been wanting to try one of these for many years, but I'd already bought another standard aftermarket one. So now that it wore out, I remembered that there's these ones. So I'm very excited to try this out today. And so yeah, so I'll let you know how those two things go. And also had to buy a new front sprocket. When I was doing this work, I noticed my front sprocket was worn out, and it has once again astounded me how good this Stealth sprocket is. It's an alloy guts with a hardened steel ring. I used to run alloy sprockets, and I just thought these are not going to last, but I was amazed how well they did last, but still they would fall to bits after a while. So this sprocket, when I got it, they said you can go through 2 chains and 3 front sprockets before you need to replace the back sprocket. Now I don't know if you can see, this is on its 2nd chain, and it's now 3rd front sprocket, and the back sprocket is not showing any sign of wear that I can see, although there probably is wear, but it's still looking perfect. Teeth are straight. So these sprockets are amazing, and they are making lighter ones now that are hardened steel, all spider webbed out to be super light. But I've had this sprocket over 10 years, and it's been through 2 chains, and it's on its 3rd front sprocket now. And the chain's still good, because if you can pull it over half a tooth off, your chain is stuffed, and this chain is still good. And because I put a brand new front sprocket on, it was almost time for me to tighten the chain. But one thing about owning a bike for 22 years, you just know things by touch after a while. When I put the new sprocket on a KTM, you come off this back block 2 links, and you want to be the same height of the block. Basically my finger goes in there, and it's perfect. So what's that, Katie? Yes, okay, I'll shut up now and we'll get up and go for a ride. Yes, I'm keen to go for a ride too. All right, let's do it. Keep it real on the back wheel.